Welcome to What Am I Looking At, a podcast from the Department of Art and Design at Arkansas State University. My name is Dr. Catherine Baker, and I'm a professor specializing in the history of medieval and early modern art. Throughout this series, each presenter will be giving you insight into works of art from across history that are in some way unusual, sometimes strange, sometimes hard to understand. So let's get to today's dive into the visual world on your radio. In a villa located along the banks of the Manzanares River, the Spanish Romantic painter Francisco Goya let loose his darkest imaginings onto the walls of his newly acquired home. Painting in oil with a limited chromatic range of ochre, gold, brown, gray, and black, with the occasional streak of white, blue, or red, of the 14 surviving pieces from this space, the most striking is undoubtedly Saturn devouring his son. The instant stuff of nightmares, we see a looming figure in the center of the image, a true titan in scale. Placed on a background of thickly applied black and brown paint, this giant is outside of space and time, and there is no landscape or contextual distractions to pull our eyes away from the central horror of the composition. Because this is not just an image of an enormous god of the ancient world, but an act of filicide and cannibalism. Clasped in the hands of Saturn is the nude and partially consumed body of a much smaller man, with pooling blood around fingers that grip the torso of his meal. Saturn has already made his way through the figure's left arm and head, now just mangled flesh where appendages were once located. The god is not done yet, however, and the figure's right forearm is about to be chomped. Eyes wild, hair stringy, the expression of Saturn is unreadable, elated, revolted. It's hard to tell. So what in the world are we looking at? First, this is a representation of ancient myth, the tale of the Titan Saturn, or Kronos in Greek, who is willing to go to unbelievable lengths to secure his power. After hearing that he was destined to be overthrown by one of his children, Saturn began to eat his offspring when they were born, including well-known Olympians like Demeter and Poseidon. This gruesome plan continued unabated until the birth of Zeus, who was secreted away from the mad god until he was strong enough to fulfill the prophecy and become the new leader of the pantheon. While a number of artists have taken up this subject, there is something distinctly disturbing about Goya's version, which has no attributes to remind us that we are looking at myth. The palpable misery of this painting was likely reflective of the artist's own sentiments about the world at this time. After seeing the horrors wrought by men in the Napoleonic War and ensuing chaos, Goya poured his terror at humanity's capacity for harm into this work. Perhaps a kind of therapy. When you see this painting in person, you often feel like you might need some counseling yourself. What Am I Looking At is provided by KASU in collaboration with the Department of Art and Design at A-State. Stay tuned next week for another exploration of art over your airwaves.